Welcome back to Let's Help You Grow Now because I'm finna be doing it. Because I'm here to help you grow now. But now I'm finna be doing a reaction to episode 204 Wiz Khalifa, how he built a music empire from nothing. So make sure you guys definitely are tuning in.
I dropped 20 mixtapes before I had my big moment. I never
What? 20, bro. He dropped 20 mixtapes, bro. 20 mixtapes before he had his moment. Sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes that's what it takes. You gotta keep pushing. You gotta keep going if you really believe, and you seeing some type of results or anything like that. But even if you're not, you gotta keep going. You gotta keep trying. You feel me? Because you just never know. But he dropped 20 mixtapes, bro, before he caught a break. Whether that was for blowing up or making six figures from it, something. You feel me? But 20 mixtapes and y'all niggas can't even drop one mixtape. Y'all can't even drop one mixtape a year. You feel me? Like it's crazy. But you want to be the next Wiz Khalifa.
never stopped. For music, it doesn't just take talent. You have to be like, am I going to repeat this over and over? When you start to add on the layers, less and less people want to do that shit. I'm just the one who's crazy enough to want to do all of it. And it was thanks to YouTube.
Yeah, you got to be crazy to do this, bro. I'm being real with you. You got to be crazy and you got to be delusional if you really want to do this. Seriously. I remember somebody telling me, "Oh, you delusional." I'm like, nigga, yeah, I'm delusional. Fuck.
I would do college shows, and it might or might not be cracking, but I always recorded the footage and put it on YouTube. And that's what booked me more shows, because people would be like, wow, it looked like y'all had a great time. We want to party with you too. It was all really just based off of interaction. If you're a fighter, you start out getting your motherfucking ass beat, like, and then you get better and you turn into a champion. So it's the same thing with music. A lot of people just don't get past getting their ass whooped.
That's probably the best advice we've ever had on this podcast. Welcome to And the Writer Is. I'm your host, Ross Golan. Today's Diamond Certified Superstar is as much an entrepreneur as he is an artist. He went from nurturing a tight-knit fan base to celebrating countless smashies across various genres in just a few short years. Now, he's got a number of business ventures in multiple industries, including weed, man. Anyway, I could start listing all his brilliant collaborators, but we'd be here forever. This pride of Pittsburgh is not only one of the most decorated writers, rappers, musicians of the past decade, but he's also a good dad. And the writer is Wiz Khalifa.
Yay.
Yay.
What's up, man?
So let's start from the beginning. You're born.
Yep.
What's your first memory?
My first memory, I think a lot of my first memories come from pictures, actually.
Yeah, right.
Because I don't feel like I remember being there, but like I watch videos. Like my parents have a lot of home videos, a lot of pictures, and I moved around a lot. So different houses are just like engraved in my brain a little bit.
Which ones? Like I know you were all over the place. You're an Army brat.
Yeah,
right?
I was born in North Dakota, so I don't remember anything about North Dakota. I was super young then.
Damn, this nigga was born in North Dakota. Yeah, by the way, you guys, of course he's from Philadelphia. I think it's Philadelphia, because Pittsburgh. He was born in North Dakota. I don't know.
Then I moved overseas to like England, Germany area. I do remember that. I remember my dad had a house with a pond, and I remember my mom's neighborhood because I learned how to ride a bike there. And then I remember when I first moved to Pittsburgh, I remember what my auntie's apartment looked like. We lived in the projects, but I feel like everybody did. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people like us did back then. It was very common. But I remember that apartment, like sleeping in the same room as my cousins and my aunts and all of that stuff. And so like I guess around like 2 or 3 years old is when the memories started kicking in of like, family and places.
You guys traveled all over the world, and you're a musician. How much of world music would you listen to, or was it more because you were on bases that it was all American music, even when you were in Germany, Japan?
It was really difficult to get music overseas, like in Japan, for sure. They were like really behind when it comes to Americanized stuff, and I think they do that on purpose. Like you gotta dig really deep to find it. And I was a teenager when I was there, so the majority of my musical experiences happened with my parents. I was born in '87, so I'm growing up in the '90s, and they listened to all '90s R&B, all early hip hop, everything that was breaking through at the time, all of the movies at the time, New Jack City and Menace to Society and all of that stuff. So I was able to just digest what they digested and what they were fans of, and kind of and I had a lot of older cousins as well, so they just put me on the game.
Do you remember the first song that you would sing around the house?
I do, man. It was my aunt. She put me on a Slick Rick,
nice.
Children's Story. That was one of my favorite songs. And I got my first Walkman. It was like the tape player. You know what that is. And I would just listen to that shit over and over and over and like sing the lyrics. My Aunt Rachel.
It's hard to explain what it was like to have, the Walkman and then going into like your Discman, and what, we're all traveling around with like a book of CDs. So just trying to explain that to a new generation is so hard. Like when we picked an album, we wore it down because that's what you did. You didn't have so many options, you know?
And we never thought that shit was going to come to an end either.
Yeah, totally.
Like, what the fuck?
Well, that's a big thing right now, and people are freaking out about, obviously, you know, if you're a universal artist and you can't play music on TikTok and you're doing all this stuff, and some of the things are like, I mean, when you came up, you know, you came up right at that probably tail end of like MySpace, going in where people were probably like, man, you got to friend people on MySpace. Like that's how you make it in the music business. And the thing is, it all evolves.
Yeah,
and if
I transitioned through all of that. Like, I come from the mixtape culture.
Right.
So we were trying to make mixtapes to sell in the stores or on the corner or out of our trunk or whatever. And then MySpace came, and that was a way to, you know, grow, but you still had to bring your audience to you. And it wasn't really about, you know, your network of people. It was just about like who kind of knows you, how many clicks you have. Like you would put your songs, like you know what it was. You put like a couple songs on there and you had like your friends list, and that was it. And then it transitioned into Twitter and YouTube. And I remember the day YouTube came out, like I was still in high school.
And boy, I know, boy, when I was a kid, boy, I made a MySpace. This when I was rapping just on my phone. I attached that motherfucker to my MySpace. Nigga, fuck you talking about?
And that's where I was able to flourish the most, through Twitter and YouTube. But yeah, physical CDs and, you know, burning actual CDs and print covers and all of that stuff, it helps because we were able to figure out what our real taste in music was and dive into it. And I love when MP3s first came, like when you were able to download off of like Napster and LimeWire and things like that, because it definitely made it easier to go back and get early 90s rap like Illmatic, or find out about Big L, or hear, you know, classic Big Pun freestyles that you would never hear. So open up a whole world and a whole generation of people that were educated about music, and that's where I really come from.
Yeah, the bootlegging of music was crazy. When LimeWire came out, going through, like, even now, it's not like Spotify has all this, you know, all the live music that, you know, some of these great musicians would travel around and the fans would just record every performance. And in LimeWire, you could go and get everything. Kind of what you'd get from whatever other normal social media now. But like the fact that you could find it all in the same place you'd find the masters is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was just wide open, bro. It was wild.
Bro, I remember LimeWire too, boy. I used to go on that mother effer, but I ain't know how to work it at first. I ain't gonna lie. But yeah.
Here's like, we have friends at Chartmetric, and I don't know if you know what that is, but they, these are some crazy stats for you that might be interesting. That your combined audience, I don't know if you know this, like over Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, all that stuff, is 85 million people.
Oh, wow.
And so, and when you think that that's like, you know, that's how massive of a audience that you've created from diving into like the, okay, well, we're going to going into Twitter, going into YouTube and all that. It's just so many people. I mean, that's, you know, it's a third of our country.
That's really cool.
Follows you. That's kind of wild.
That's pretty awesome.
Actually, I kind of like, I just go through this anyway, just because these are kind of wild stats. But do you know what your most listened to city is?
No, I don't.
Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Why does that make sense?
Because they're crazy. Like they're really supportive in Brazil.
It's just fascinating. It's not like English is their first language, and you're a wordsmith.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know.
It's just hard to like. There's certain artists that are like with the trends, and then there's certain artists who define the culture. And to people in Brazil, my name is one of those names that just defines rap. Like if you say like 50 Cent, Eminem, Snoop, Wiz, like, you know what I mean? It's very, very high up there. So I'm not surprised.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's why, I mean, you know, people latch on to whatever cultures that, especially outside of America. And that's the thing about, I feel like I've had an advantage from living other places, is I do know how important it is to connect with people in other countries. And, you know, luckily just being raised the way that I was raised and being able to communicate with people, my music does that too. Like, of course it's going to translate in America, but the trends go up and down so much. But out of other different countries, they only have a certain idea of what American culture is, and they stick to that. Like, they don't move in and out with the trends as fast as we do.
Well, you know, that it's so strange to think worldwide, but when you also are talking about, you know, you start from mixtape and mixtape culture, the mixtape culture is literally like, now when you think of mixtapes, everything seems digital. But when you're starting out, you're literally, like you were saying, burning CDs and probably getting either people to buy it or giving it or whatever it is. But mixtapes are like hoping that other people burn them and that it goes through like one person at a time, truly word of mouth.
Right.
But then to think worldwide, where it's like to go from, you know, the first mixtape, you know, all the way to Brazil, is just a wild. Like,
the concept that we come from mixtapes is for promotion. So you're promoting yourself for the big moment. And I dropped fucking 20 mixtapes before I had my big moment, because I never stopped. And I was always putting in the work. And I'm like, if people don't understand me, I understand me. And this is what's going on in my head. And, you know, these are the things that I'm going through. And this is how I'm, you know, turning it into art. And, you know, I'm still the same way, but music is digested a little bit differently. And I have so much of a catalog. People can catch up to where I'm at. Like, there's still generations of people who are diving into my old stuff. Like, you know, you might hear the things that are on a commercial level, of course, but I have so much, I have so much that you can just dive into and get lost and find your own personal favorites, to where, you know, the mixtapes help to build all of that by just, you know, subconsciously constantly creating.
I heard you mention that your uncle was the first person who kind of showed you that you could actually write.
Yeah.
That like anybody can write a rap. What's the first rap that you wrote? Do you remember it, or
I don't remember the whole thing, but I remember what it was and what the name of it was.
What was it?
It was called Cool Cat.
Okay.
Because like my uncle, he had wrote a verse for the same song, and
was it a beat that already had a hook on it?
It was no beat, honestly. I don't even think I don't think we had a beat, because this was in the mid '90s. So either you had to buy the tape and get the instrumental, or you had to loop it up yourself if you knew how to do that shit. Or we would download lyrics from the song, so we couldn't get the actual beats at that time. So when we were writing, I don't remember what we wrote it to. I think we just wrote it to like our own cadence, and he had his verse already, and that's when he rapped me his verse. That's when I was like, damn, that shit sound all right. And he was like, you could write a verse to it too, and he just taught me how to do it. He taught me how to start it and what to do in the middle. And I don't
Did he teach you how to freestyle, or did he teach you how to like? There's a difference between obviously freestyling and writing. In a way. Was it natural to just start freestyling off the top, and was it that the process?
Nah, it was a process. It was more like learning other people's songs first, like getting my timing down pat, and then I started writing my own shit based off of that. Like I would write like fast shit because I like Bone Thugs and Harmony, and I like Twista. So like I wanted to be the fast rapper. Yeah, Busta Rhymes and shit. I wanted to be the fast rapper. And then it comes to like, you're around everybody. Now the beat's on. You might have one written, or it's like, let's just make up some shit. And then that's when the freestyles start to happen. Sure. And then, when we got older, that's when we start battling each other and battling other people, because it gets competitive. But it's really just a process of like, figuring that shit out. Because
how old were you when your uncle showed you that?
I was in like second or third grade.
Yeah, and you were
that's what I was about to say. We were kids, you know what I mean? We were just children and shit.
Yeah, it was like mid '90s. I got a Tascam 4-track from from whatever.
I didn't get my first Tascam until 2001.
Yeah, that's that's pretty late for a Tascam. If you're getting a 4-track tape, but that was definitely like that was
well,
about.
I'm obviously younger than you.
Fair enough. Well, not so obvious. I look pretty good. I mean, not that
you said you had your Tascam in the '90s. So
okay, fair enough. But I still have it in my garage, and I'm just like, it's like that thing where I kind of want to bring it out and use it, but I also am like so scared of what it may like hold.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's something about that like having to learn on the fly, and the kinds of people who aren't in LA, who don't necessarily have access to recording studios, whose parents might not be in the business, and you're trying to figure out, well, I kind of like doing this, and if I don't get this thing, I can't do it.
Yeah. There was no concept of like what that shit looked like.
Yeah, totally.
To us. We were just like, we seen rap videos and that was it. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
so what gets you from there to, hey, those videos, whatever, to get there, you got to go to a studio. I know you interned at a spot, like who says even go intern at a studio?
Well, like I said, it was a process. So I moved from Pittsburgh to Japan with my dad. So my rapping days were kind of freaking, put on a hold.
Well, I want to go to Japan, bro.
Late 90s to about 2000. I mean, to mid 90s. I think it was like 98, 99, and then by 2000, I moved back to Pittsburgh. So in 98.
So while you're in Japan, you're just like, you don't even think about music because you're like, I'm just a kid in Japan.
No, it wasn't like that. It was like, I lived in Pittsburgh. I was with all my cousins from the projects. I moved to Japan with my dad. He was like, what the fuck are you listening to? Took all my music away. And because I was a kid. He took all my music away that had cussing in it. He did what a good parent would do, because I was listening to some crazy shit. But he ended up liking DMX. That was one of his favorite ones. He was like, I like this one. I'm gonna take this one.
Yeah. Right.
But in Japan, it was hard to get new music. It was really hard to get it. So I had to go without. We didn't have music videos. We didn't have shit. I wasn't up on shit for a few years, like at least 2 or 3 years. Then I moved back to Pittsburgh in the year 2000, and then that's when I started rapping again. I was with my cousins. Napster was out. I was able to download MP3s. We was able to download instrumentals. We was battling each other. We were fucking hip hop heads, finding out Wu-Tang, like, you know what I'm saying, here, and experiencing all of that shit for the first time too. Then I moved away again from Pittsburgh to Oklahoma with my dad. That's when I started working in the studio. That's when I got my Tascam.
Got it.
That's when I started working in the studio with him, writing my own songs, making my own beats, producing my own albums, and just really practicing. I was a 14-year-old kid, so it wasn't on a level where like fucking Clive Davis was going to hear it. I was just a kid in Oklahoma practicing, sharpening my craft. Then I moved back to Pittsburgh. That's when I started interning at the studio, because I would pay to go there, but based off of my skill, they were like, damn, bro, you're better than the adults that come in here. Like, you record fast, your voice sounds good, you know how to stack, you know how your timing is good. Like, they just noticed a real level of skill in me that they didn't have at that time, and that's what allowed me to flourish in that studio, and then that's where I became who I am.
Those people from your uncle, your cousins, your friends, the other people that you were coming up with, were they envious of you, or were any of those people that you'd be like, man, they deserve a shot? Any of them really talented and just were never discovered?
No, it comes down to the work ethic.
Yeah.
I outworked the shit out of everybody that I was around. Like, so there's no envy, because I involved everybody. Like, every step of the way, I was making mixtapes with my uncle. Everything that we did as a group. When we did shows, when we did whatever. If I got booked for something, or if I was doing a mixtape, I made the cover, I made all of that. And it was a group thing. So
yeah.
The separation was, I just worked harder and just went. I think for music, it does.
That's exactly what it comes down to, bro. Like, I promise you. Like, and this is just for especially anybody that's under 18. You definitely need to know this, but just in general, you might be coming up right now with someone making music together, whether it's family, friends, whoever, bro. A couple years go by, whatever, they might not be there far as, and I'm not saying not be there, it's not on earth. I'm saying not be there far as making music with you anymore. It is what it is. That's just how shit happens. It is what it is due to any reason. And not only that, I know people have stuff going on in life and real life hits and stuff like that. But bro, I've been through the most my goddamn self. If you really want to do it, nigga, you're gonna fucking do it. No matter what you got going on. So, but show those people grace too. It just wasn't for them, and it is what it is. But I just want you guys to know: don't expect anybody that you're making music with, or content with, or anything you're doing, anything with anybody. It can be family, friends, whoever. Don't expect that they're gonna be there for your whole entire ride. Pause, but don't expect that, bro. I'm letting you know that now.
It doesn't just take talent. You have to be like, all right, am I going to repeat this over and over? Am I going to, travel now? Am I going to, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that when you start to add on the layers, less and less people want to do that shit. Yeah. I'm just the one who's crazy enough to want to do all of it.
Well, there's this thing about how you can't teach taste.
Yeah.
And like when you're born, you're kind of born with a certain level of taste. Mm-hmm. And people like you, I'd like to think people like me, but like when the first stuff you're recording is kind of shit. Mm-hmm. It's not terrible. It's enough to keep you going. But you're hearing like the icons on radio. You're hearing these people. You're like, man, I know I can get there. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna just keep doing it because there's something in there. And you listen back, like, it feels good when you're doing it, and you think it's a smash. Mm-hmm. And then you listen back, and that was shit. Because then you listen to the radio, and you're like, oh, that was way better than what I'm doing. Yeah. And it's just constant, like the taste and drive are really somehow connected. Yeah. It's like those who have really refined taste and can look at themselves honestly, those are the ones who improve and become like, have a discography when they're older because they got past the shit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of people get stuck in the shit, and anything that you do, you have to practice and you have to get better and better. If you're a fighter, you start out getting your motherfucking ass beat, like, and then you get better and you turn into a champion. So it's the same thing with music. A lot of people just don't get past getting their ass whooped.
That's probably the best advice we've ever had on this podcast. How soon after, you're getting this, studio time in Pittsburgh, you're recording these mixtapes. There's a difference, though, between getting people to listen to the mixtape and then them taking that mixtape and spreading the word for you. Mm. That word of mouth is everything, especially in that culture. Like, when did you have that first mixtape? Because it's got to be before, the Cushion OJ. Mm-hmm. Like, what's the first mixtape? What's the first song that people are like, hey, no, there's those guys that you're saying, like, they heard that you had the talent. That's still a different level than when some random person's like, hey, have you heard this? This is incredible. Mm. Like, what's the first thing where it's like the word of mouth is doing it for you?
My shit was so organic that it wasn't just a song or a tape. It was me. It was always me.
Yeah.
Who is Wiz? Why do people want to chill with Wiz or party with Wiz? And I was doing shows, and it would happen through the internet, and it was thanks to YouTube. I would do college shows, and it might or might not be cracking, but I always recorded the footage and put it on YouTube. Yeah. And that's what booked me more shows, because people would be like, wow, they look like y'all had a great time. We want to party with you too. And then that's where I would release my music based off of where I was at and just start doing mixtapes. And you know what I'm saying? So it was all really just based off of interaction. And that was the moment that it all started to come together, because I had a lot of music before then. I had Prince of the City 2, Prince of the City, Star Power, Deal or No Deal, or Show and Prove. I hadn't dropped Deal or No Deal. So I had a lot of projects out, but people weren't really connecting the music with the name. But when I was able to go do shows and put the footage on YouTube, that's what made me more of a, person that people wanted to reach out to and be like, have you heard Wiz? Well, this is what, we do when you put Wiz on. Oh, we smoke to it. We party to it. Oh, yeah, a bunch of chicks is going to come out. Invite Wiz. We got a budget for blah, blah, blah. We want to spend it on Wiz. That's when that shit started happening. And then just the brand built more than anything.
Is it, at what point are you Wiz? At what point do you say, like, what did your mom call you?
She calls me Cam.
And what's the point where you're like, no, I'm Wiz to everybody else?
Well, shit, just growing up in Pittsburgh, everybody's going to call me Cam, like, just naturally, because that's them is the people that I went to school with. But being in the studio is like, I'm not Cam, I'm Wiz. So that's when it really started to happen. Are you
an alter ego in the studio? Do you think of yourself as do you put on a cape when you're in the studio?
I think just me performing and showing my real talents is something totally different from me when I'm chilling and talking. Like, I'm two different people.
Yeah, on stage it's like a whole thing.
Right. Yeah. You see the passion, you see why I'm good at what I do. But if I'm just regular, when I'm Cam, I'm just a nice guy. You could tell I'm somebody when you look at me. Like, that's why people were entertainers. They're like, he do something, but it's like, I'm not fucking performing at Dunkin' Donuts. Like, you know what I mean? I'm in and out and I'm chilling.
He's so rad though. Okay, so here's a segment we'll call "What Would Mike Karen Ask Wiz Khalifa on And the Writer Is?" And Mike said, and we'll go into the Cushion OJ thing here. He goes, "Were you in a euphoric state when you chose the beats like Wake and Baked and Memorized on Cushion OJ, or did the beats bring you to that place?"
A euphoric state, like on drugs?
I don't know. I think the idea of those songs are so good that I think the idea is like, did you hear the beats? Like, did you come at it and you were like, yeah, maybe it was on drugs?
Yeah, I think he's trying to say it was on drugs. I love Mike. What euphoric state were you? I love him. To be like a nerd about it, I'm super duper sensitive to feelings and emotions. And at that time, I knew exactly what feelings and emotions I wanted to bring to the music. So if the beat didn't sound like that, I would turn it off. But if it did, I'm diving straight in.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I'm that way too. I'm more of a beat person. But now I go in there with a vision, and it's like the beat will just match up to the vision that I'm trying to produce, or I will have the beat produce, make the vision itself.
And to be specific, the beat, the feelings and the emotions were, at the time I was traveling a lot. I'm smoking, I'm drinking, I'm partying, and it's waking up the next day, and it's like seeing the scene, it's like feeling the feelings, and it might be the sun going down or it might be the sun coming up, you know what I mean? But it's really like the appreciation for the moment of where you're at and what's going on, and that's what those beats would bring out of me, and that's why I chose those to be the backbone of Cushion Orange Juice.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
He also asked, what songs did you spend the most time writing? Which ones were the fastest, like freestyle?
The songs I probably spent the most time writing was like Never Been. I spent a lot of time writing that one.
Why did that take so long? And what does that mean to you?
I think that one took so long because if I remember, I had recorded a lot of songs up to that point, and I just didn't want that one to sound just like everything else. I wanted to make sure that I intentionally wanted that one to stand out. So I took my time when I wrote that one. Mesmerized was one that I wrote really, really fast, like instantly, just super fast. Kid Frankie, I wrote really fast as well. Or you just talking about Cushion Orange Juice or just in
I
general?
don't know. I'm just reading
Black
this
and Yellow,
question.
I wrote hella fast, bro. Like I surprised myself how fast I wrote that one.
It's so frustrating when like I guess I have a couple songs that really worked out where it turned out it was the freestyle that like created the chorus and whatever. But like when I think of you writing it really fast, I think you literally like just wrote it like
straight through, like bro, like as fast as it takes you to say the lyrics is how fast it took me to rap it. Like each bar, I just did one bar, did another bar, did another bar, did another bar, finished that verse, did the hook, did the second verse the same way, did the did the bridge, we was out of there.
Well, I think because you just mentioned it, we'll just go to the next segment, which is what would Stargate ask Wiz Khalifa and The Writer Is. And Tor McKell, first they said, what's up, Wiz?
What's happening?
First, we just want to say that when we were kids in Norway, we always dreamed of making a real rap song. You made that dream come true when we made Black and Yellow together, and for that we'll always be grateful. So shout out McKell and Tor for that. And they have some questions for you.
Love them.
Yeah, I do too. The first question they said, can you name 3 big decisions that you made that had a real impact on your life? That's a crazy question because that's like super deep. But they asked the question, so what would your answer be?
3 big decisions: making music, having my son, and letting them arrange the hook on Black and Yellow.
Yeah, that's amazing. No, that's an amazing answer. And the thing is, if you've worked with Stargate, you totally get that. You know, those guys understand what a real chorus is, and their songs live in a chorus.
Yep.
It's a lot of chorus.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they're so consistent.
Yep. And they the way that they presented it to me, because I had rapped the chorus and they loved it, but they were like, this part goes here, this part goes there. Yeah. And they were like they said they never worked with a rapper or they never had the rap song before, so they didn't know if I was going to be open to them moving my chorus around. So they played my version and then they were like, your version is cool, but if you want it to be a hit, this is going to be the version right here. And after they played it, they were like, don't argue with us. I was like, bro, I want a fucking hit. Like, let's go. I'm going with your version. Like, we don't got to go back and forth about it.
Well, that's a really interesting change because I think that's like one of the hardest parts with a young artist. And at the time, that's your first hit and it hadn't been a hit yet.
Right.
So you didn't have a hit.
Right.
And as a lot of times we get pushback when we're talking to a young artist, we're like, hey, you could do that, try it like this. They think they know the answer all the time.
Right.
That's like a really humble place to be able to say, you know what, I'll take your word for it.
For sure. That was the breakthrough for me.
Was it that session, or were you going into that session being like, all right, I'm ready?
It was that session because I was already really hot from the mixtapes, and I had a lot of money, and I was doing my touring things. So I really didn't feel like I had to listen to anybody, but I respected them and I respected their opinion, and I felt like they were really trying to help me. And that was the moment where I was like, this is how you do this shit. Is you listen, like you bring what you bring to the table. And then you let the people who are great at what they do. And I really trusted them, and I understood what they were the road that they were trying to take me down. Yeah. And I really appreciate them for keeping it 100 with me like that. And like I said, that was the moment right there. That's a good moment for me because I felt like I broke through as an artist, and it changed a lot.
NMPA is our lead sponsor yet again. What is the National Music Publishers Association? What do publishers have to do with songwriters anyway? Well, unlike artists who can be unsigned artists, there is no such thing as an unsigned writer. You can be a self-published, a co-published, or a published writer. Publishers only make money if songwriters make money. So, NMPA goes and fights for you. They go to Congress, they go and support the community, they fight DSPs to get you paid more. That's what they do. They fight for you, and they fight for this podcast. So thank you for fighting for songwriters, NMPA. Thank you for fighting for us, too.
Okay, so I use Splice, and I'm pretty sure every producer who listens to this uses Splice, but if you don't, you need to start using Splice. They have the most incredible licensing library that you can go through for any kind of samples you can think of, but they take care of their original creators. In fact, they just came out with a beta version of their AI suite. Unlike its competitors that we know that may not take care of the original creators, every time you use Splice's AI tool, it triggers a licensing event for those original creators. So there's not a better company that I can think of right now that you can use where you can use the efficiency
And song. Which was fine. But then they like stripped the track, and by the time we heard it next, it was this vibey, like whole other world. And they just don't give up. If they know there's a hit in there, they'll just cut.
Yep.
So here's our appreciation podcast for those guys. Oh, they also
dudes, man.
they also asked the question: we're also skinny, trying to bulk. Any meal plan tips?
Steak and rice, chicken and rice, 2 to 3 protein shakes a day.
Are you consistent at that?
Yeah, yep.
Do you work out every day
5 days a week.
with a trainer?
Yeah, I got a trainer. But sometimes I just work out at the crib too. He might just send me my, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do MMA as well. So if you really want to get right, add the MMA.
Are you good at it?
Really good.
Do you compete?
In gyms.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some sparring that goes on.
Does it ever get out of hand?
It hasn't yet.
There's a lot of respect in that world. Like people who are really good at martial arts, like part of the ethos is to almost invite people in. So you treat people with respect. If you're way better, you don't try to just kill the guy.
Hell no.
You try to like
help them
get
You're gonna
better.
feel it, you know. Like a lot of the times, you don't want to make it too easy on them because the best way to learn is to feel it.
Yeah, like none of us want our dads to let us win.
Right. But if it gets too turned up, there's control. That's the word that we use. So sometimes you might get a guy who's a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So instead of returning his energy, you might fall back a little bit, or you might let him know, hey, bro, I got it too. And then now we take it down.
What was your martial arts that that you studied?
I do Taekwondo, Muay Thai, and Jiu-Jitsu. And I also do boxing and wrestling.
So when do you have time to do anything else? If you're doing 5 days a week of working out and doing all those things, like you're spending like 2 hours a day working out.
Yep.
It's got to help your performances when you do shows.
I was already good at that.
No, not that. It's not like you're like. It's not like I'm envisioning you like kicking on stage. I'm just thinking you're I
really
you gotta
think
be able to get through I'm for sure you can get through a 2-hour show.
I think it's the reverse. I think being able to have breath control on stage helps me perform when I'm doing martial arts. I think it's the reverse.
So I know you kind of got a little off topic, so I'll just like go a little bit further. The mixtape stuff really kind of blows up. You kind of get signed by you have record deals that get you to the major record deals, but shit really changes once you have once it gets on the Atlantic train. Why did that change from Atlantic improve your career path over when it was originally signed through Warner?
Because Julie, Kaiser, Craig, Mike, my A&R's V at the time, even
Love Svi.
You said what?
I love Svi.
Yeah, Svi's cool as hell, right?
Yeah.
Even Riggs when he took over.
Nice.
Who else? Marsha. All of those people, Manny, all of those people really, really understood me and let me do me. And that was the whole thing about me signing over there was we're going to let Wiz do Wiz. And I think I was really fortunate to be in that situation. And it hadn't been done like that before. They trusted me and still do trust me, but I'm not on Atlantic anymore. But they just trusted me as an organic artist and somebody who knows my own fan base and can make my own best decisions for myself. And literally just got behind all of the things that I believed in and made sure that, my fucking Taylor Gang dreams came true. And that was the difference because, when I was signed to Warner, they really didn't have any idea what to do with me or, what my look was, what my crowd was. But for Atlantic to be doing so well at basically like putting together their artists and then let me come through and just decide whatever I want to do. And it worked was like crazy, and it was unheard of. It was unheard of. People weren't doing it. And I just feel like that was the reason that it was as successful as it was because we were a team as opposed to them saying, Wiz, sit down. This is your blah, blah, blah. This is that. This is who you can and can't work with. They let me write my records. They let me pick which producers I wanted. They let me direct my videos. They let me direct my photo shoots, all my, marketing and packaging, whatever I wanted to look like. Let me do all of that shit. And it just really, really helped to have a successful run while I was, on Atlantic.
Yeah, I think them recognizing that you don't need to have an external person do that is as good as a record label job as somebody who's like, if you don't have any idea what you should look like, that they can like actually help build a team around that kind of artist. But if you have an artist that really does know their aesthetic, like like what they want their tours to look like, all the whole thing, to encourage them and to like support that, that also is a really good You know, that's amazing because
Yeah.
not every record label does that.
Hell no.
When Black and Yellow becomes successful, there's a difference between, you know, even selling out shows from all the YouTube stuff, from, you know, all the mixtape stuff. A number one song across radio formats is a whole other thing. You know, did you start thinking that it was going, like, you go on this crazy run? Did you feel like you kind of left a part of you behind once you get to that number one song? Like, or do you feel like you have to bring all the history with you?
No, I don't think I left anything behind. My main thing was always like physical, just being around people. So I was always touring. Like even when Black and Yellow came out, I think after that I stayed on tour for like 3, maybe 5 years straight. So I was just going.
Yeah, because a hit song, if y'all don't know, all you need is one. That's why they tell you all you need is one. Now, if you want to be hot like a young boy or hot like Drake, yeah, nigga, you need hit after hit after hit after hit. But you only need one to sustain yourself for the rest of your life, like literally. So I don't know what people be trying to do all this extra stuff when you really don't have to. And I'm not telling you not to, but I'm just saying what it is. Stop.
Crazy.
Yeah, I didn't have no time to like really soak it all in.
Did
You
anybody
just
tell you
tore
like,
up
hey, you
that
should slow
one
down?
song.
Nah, I mean my
Okay.
wife at the time.
Yeah, fair.
because she was like, "Bro, what are you doing?" But I had no concept. I'm like, it's fun. I love this. I love my fans. I'm enjoying myself. I'm building a brand, and
And you were also like young.
yeah,
And like
hell
that makes
yeah.
sense, you know?
Hell yeah, I was like, you know, it was probably from like 22 to about 26 years old.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, just toured my ass off.
When, you know, you start going on this like this whole run after, you know, Black and Yellow is obviously huge, but it's getting on payphone at the same time, and Young, Wild, and Free, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's like the radio is just like a giant. It's really nostalgic because
Mm-hmm.
it's right when I first meet Mike. It's right when I start working in music, and it
Mm-hmm.
was just like my peers are all like, you know, or people I aspire to have as my peers are all working with you, and you just had like hit after hit after hit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really kind of fun to like. At the time, it was really cool because like a lot of what I was doing was aspiring to like work amongst the crew that you were in.
Thanks.
But you were really able to bring people from all different genres into, you know, like I don't know what genre that was. I missed in a way like,
Yeah.
like I love the Wiz Khalifa genre. It was like somebody who got some rock bands, some, you know, it's like pop writers,
Yep.
Bruno.
Yep.
Obviously, you know, I know your relationship with Snoop now, but like you started bringing all these people together. I guess like what it, you know, that really defined an era, and we can go through the songs, but everyone knows those songs already. The music industry kind of like goes and does different wild ups and downs and
Yeah.
different things, and all of a sudden it's like after that era of like 5 huge, 6, I don't know how many huge hits you had in a row, a lot of the industry started doing this like sad boy mumble rap.
Oh yeah.
It started getting into
Yeah, it switched up.
it wasn't like the shows weren't the same as like the show you would put on. It wasn't, music wasn't the same. Did you feel like you started that you would have to adjust the way you do music to go with like some of what was becoming popular afterwards?
I don't think I felt like I had to adjust. I think I would have had to been more consistent. And there was things that was going on that was blocking the consistency.
Like what?
I had left my former management
Yeah, right.
with Russian Records. So my catalog, not was really on freeze, but it was at a point where we were like separating, you know, what I can have. And
divorce.
what, yeah, you know, that's a real legal thing. 'Cause I was with him since I was 16. So that happened. A real divorce happened.
Yeah.
You know, me having a kid and just wanting to spend a lot of time with my kid and raise him correctly and be a part of his life. You know, I slowed down on touring. You know, so, you know, COVID, just a lot of real things that put time in between those eras where, you know, if you don't have the people who are like consistently leading that and championing that, people sort of just, you know, they kind of forget about it. And I feel like that was the main thing, is I was really consistent at that time. I was back to back to back to back to back. So you know what the lifestyle is, you know how necessary it is. But the necessity kind of went away and the trends changed, and it just becomes necessary for other trends at that time.
So I have a toddler and a baby at home right now, and I'm it's like, how many people have to tell you also at the, you know, the end of their careers 40 years after where we're at now, that are like, oh, I wish I spent more time working, less time with my kids.
Yeah.
Like nobody ever says that.
Right.
You know, and so
Exactly.
I think like, you know, and I think it takes like it takes a grown up to be able to say like, I'm gonna slow down a little bit on tour and make sure I'm like a present father.
Yeah.
You know, like
Because there would be days, you know, at the studio or like just waking up late from doing shit where it's like, I would much rather be present for this than feeling like this right now, or, you know, making an excuse for shit. And it didn't take long for me to realize that shit. It was almost instant where I was like, bro, like, nah, y'all can have it. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool. It's fun. But like you said, it doesn't go in reverse where I would have wished that I worked more. I'm very happy with the time that I'm spending with my kid. And he's 11 now. So he's at an age where he gets everything. He understands everything. He can do a lot of things for himself. So I feel like, all right, now I can get back to work. But you know, I gave myself that grace period where a lot of people don't think it's possible to take your foot off the gas and then put your foot back on the gas.
It's so weird because when it's your life, you feel like you're taking the foot off the gas, and when it's like, as an observer, it doesn't seem that way because this is the thing about hit songs. Like, I go to Universal as like it's like 7 minutes from here, right? And we go there as like a playground.
Yeah.
You know, we're literally there like once every other week,
Right?
Because where else can you run with like a toddler where they're safe, just wherever he wants to go?
Right.
The first song that you hear every single time you walk in is "See You Again."
Yeah.
Like the first song, and so like it feels so present.
Yeah.
Like I know that song wasn't written yesterday, but it's like it's so current.
Yeah.
That it's, you know, all you have to do is put out new music.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's like to everyone else, like it doesn't seem like you took your foot off the gas.
100%.
Speaking of that song, "See You Again," Charlie Puth being a friend of ours and all, that pre-chorus I reference in sessions constantly.
Really? Thank you.
Constantly. And it's like the dorkiest thing to say that.
Thank you.
But like it's one of my favorite pre-choruses because you are so patient. Nobody starts at the end of a measure. Everyone is so like, I need to be in front. Everybody wants to, it's like 1, 2, 3, I need to start now, whatever. You do like, the fact that you like are so patient on the, how can we not, like, I bring that up all the time because everyone just feels like they have to jump on top of every measure. Every track has to be like, you know, before the one, or on the one. If your Stargate's on the one. But that one, on that pre-chorus, like, you're so patient in it. And, you know, you know, I'm sure you get, you know, people want to talk about that song all the time, but what they should talk about is the pre-chorus.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate that.
You know, you've done a lot of good work.
Thank you, man.
With the pre-chorus.
Hey, good looking, bro.
Just gotta give it. Anyway,
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, isn't it weird though? Like when you're okay, so once you have that Stargate experience with Black and Yellow, and once you experience what a #1 song is, and they're like, hey, if you want a #1 song, this is the arrangement you should do, and then it ends up being a #1 song. There's a difference between rapping on records and then you know, writing pop songs.
Yeah.
And when you're writing, you know, when you're doing a feature on Payphone and Amar and Dano and Benny and these guys are writing this hook, and it's like some of that stuff is really well structured for you.
Yes.
But like that pre-chorus is really well crafted. Where did you start thinking of like the craft of pop writing versus like I'm gonna freestyle right now?
Yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you.
Well, if you have an experience writing different genres of music, such as a pop, like if you like a rapper and you got down having experience writing different genres, you need to experience it. I like writing. I like doing pop records, and you know what I'm saying? This is another experience.
I appreciate that. Damn, bro, I just love different music and how it makes me feel, and to understand where it goes and what happens when it's appreciated. And I could try to introduce pop writing to rap music, but they just don't get it all the way. But when we're in a pocket where people appreciate that shit, that's when I can shine, and that's when it comes out. So those are it's just using, like, literally digging in my bag and coming out with what I know how to do at that time. And those are some of my favorite records to write and to really build a song based off of that structure. But I don't always get the opportunity to do it. And
but you can make that opportunity that other artists can't.
Like,
you know, this is
like a real conversation. So the problem that I have is sometimes it's too pop for rap and sometimes it's too rap for pop.
Of course.
Yeah, that's the only issue that and it's usually the too pop for rap part. But I'm too rap for pop. Yeah. It happens like that, bro.
Is that from radio, Spotify?
I think it's more from a radio. Because they want to, like, I have to be like urban or rhythmic, but I don't write those types of records. Like, I write big songs structured, like what you're saying.
Yeah.
But it won't.
They will follow.
But that's why I like working with like Benny Blanco and like, because like you said, it gives me an opportunity to fucking, you know what I mean, shine. And so the more collaborations and the more I dig in that bag, which I'm finna do, I'm gonna get busy.
Yeah.
We'll get back there, man. But that's why I appreciate that.
It's not just we'll get, like, it would, you know, you came in the perfect time. There's like that book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, where it's like sometimes you're just born in the right place and born at the right time, I should say, because you obviously weren't, you know, it's not like Pittsburgh was a hotbed of pop music. Shout out to our friends that are actual pop musicians from Pittsburgh. There are a few, but we won't get into that. But the idea of like when you end up coming here, you end up going through the Atlantic system and really that you know, the Mike Caren world of that stuff right at like this perfect time.
Yep.
And like your skill set just like brought so much of those songs together. The fact that, you know, right when Bruno was not quite the Bruno Mars yet, you know, and all that, like, it was just such a good time. And we just I think that like we all need to have a resurgence of like, you know.
I think a nigga featured on that song. What's his name? for that See You Again. Was it Charlie Puth? I didn't even know who the fuck that nigga was. Huh?
It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
It's strange because we're in an era
The
where there
Blaze was
aren't really
smart, though.
genres. Like you're not walking through a record store.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I
Yeah.
understand radio is,
Yep.
but like we're not walking through record stores. So why can't we have more of that, mashup?
I don't get it either, bro. I wish I could fucking answer that shit. I usually have like a concept of why or what is stopping it, but I really don't, because I see music leaning, and this is just a real conversation. I see music going in that way where people want bigger, better produced, better written records. They want that shit, like, and more variety. You know what I mean? And it's not like in a corny way where like it just means that people they're leaning towards bigger music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like. I mean, it's like, I don't want to say like real songs in a way, but even like the. I know you and Drake kind of come up around the same time and all that stuff, and it's like a lot of his songs were songs.
Yeah.
It's like these songs.
Yeah,
I just like can be really healthy and doesn't have to be. And maybe coming out of COVID, we'll have like where people aren't quarantined. Like everyone has to sing like this because they're like little siblings sleeping next door,
Right.
or because they haven't ever
That makes
performed
sense.
live.
Yeah,
So
that
they don't
makes
even
sense.
know the idea of like, oh, I'm gonna have to project over 40,000 people
That
in a
makes sense.
stadium.
That makes sense.
Like they just don't even have. They're writing from a place of like doing everything here in front of their Tascam.
Yeah,
their equivalent of that.
That makes sense.
And they're not writing in front. They've never experienced performing in Sao Paulo for 60,000 people.
Right.
And they don't even think that way because they're writing in their bedroom.
Yep. It's true.
Anyway, we just need more of you. Is all I'm saying, bro.
I got you, bro. It's on the way.
All right, cool. Let's talk about some of the other endeavors.
Yes.
It's obviously you've got Weed Line. I know you're getting into some shroom stuff.
Yep.
It feels like that industry is really saturated, and yet I know that like that's coming from someone who lives in Los Angeles. I know half the country hasn't even experienced it yet. They're still like having to do it how we used to, What is it like? What should we expect from the industry of the weed industry?
The thing to expect is just more recreational use of weed. That's basically what it is, bro. Like the laws are changing. A lot of places are still medicinal, so where you have to have a card. But my brand isn't like weed stores or anything like that. It's actually shipping to places who have a constant customer service. Or so we're in Philadelphia. I mean, we're in Pennsylvania. We're in DC. We're in Florida. We're in Arizona. We're in Colorado. We're in a lot of different places where it's not just like a mom and pop weed shop. Like shout out to them, but it's moving away from as hippie as weed shit looks and seems, and is becoming a more of a corporate everyday thing. And that's what my brand is gearing up for.
What's applicable from your music career that helps you run a weed company?
Like you said, my taste. People trust my taste and the plant, and that's what sells my product.
Do you smoke other products?
No. I've only been smoking mine for 10 years. Well, not 10 years, but for as long as we've had the plant.
Right.
And it's 2024, so almost 12 years, yeah.
I sold trims in college. What's different from
I know that mixtape, that was one of the last, I think, I listened from Wiz for real. It's 28 grams. So I got to go listen to 28 grams. If you know about 28 grams, comment below. I actually got to go listen to that because that's when he was experimenting and all that type of stuff. All right, that down. But yeah, that's pretty much it, y'all. It's only like 5 minutes left, so make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, check the links in my description. Shout out to Wiz. Wiz definitely got them records though. I know y'all, some of y'all might be like, Wiz fell off and we don't know anything. I get it, bro, but he still got a career. That nigga still making money. Even without the weed, he'll still be successful, nigga. So at the end of the day, don't get it messed up. I still fuck with Wiz. I gotta actually go check out some of his new music, honestly. But he got a diamond record. Like that record, See You Again, that shit's gonna stand for the test of time, bro. It is what it is. Like, so shoot. I'm gonna have to do some research, but See You Again record might be bigger than any of Drake's record. And I'm not saying that for Drake this because Drake is my favorite artist. So I'm just thinking about it. It might be. It might be. I really need to look that up though. I'm gonna look it up on ChatGPT right quick. I'm gonna let y'all know. See You Again. His songs. I just searched it on ChatGPT. I said, is Wiz Khalifa song "See You Again" bigger than any of Drake's top song. Now, of course, that "See You Again" is not a Wiz Khalifa. Is it a Wiz Khalifa? Like who? Because I was like saying a solo song. Yeah, this basically is. It was saying a whole lot of shit. But yeah, visit my website, LetsHelpYouGrowNow.gumroad.com. It says dependent on the metrics, but basically it really is, basically. Not by a long shot, of course, but might as well say it.
Don't you see me right now, baby girl, I'm on the grind. I ain't really got no time to waste time. Baby, I'ma shine.